Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today I will speak and explain what is clinical research. I will talk a little bit more about my job, my experience, and hopefully these will be helpful to someone that would be interested into joining clinical research. Um, or students like myself that were at university and were a little bit unsure on how to enter this particular field of work. Hopefully my video will be clear, but of course if you don't understand or if you have any question, you can always comment below and I will respond in the next videos or respond also to your comments as well, and we can have a chat there. So clinical research is the whole process that takes part from when the drug, the medication, is being created into the lab by scientists until this is being marketed and sold into the pharmacies and into other drugstores, for example, across the world. Um, the clinical research is a clinical trial, which means that has inside of it different phases. It has phase 1, phase 2, 3, and 4 in total, and usually it starts with the scientists starting to test this new medication, of course, on animals and mouse before testing it on human beings. They have this 10 or I don't know how many usually they have on the first stage, and after, when they see some positive effect and that actually the medication is having um, results on them, they then request this confirmation from the FDA, saying that the drug can be start to be tested on human. So of course what happened here is that they don't start testing it on everybody, and especially they don't test it on a high percentage of people, but just test on small quantity of people. They might try on 10 or 20 people at first, on their local site, and after, when they see again the results, there's going to be an end point. When they reach that end point, then the drug can go into the other phase, and phase 3, phase 4, until after the end of the phase, the whole 4 phases, they send again another request for FDA to be marketed into the market, and then when there is a whole review of the whole stages and everything, the FDA gives approval, confirmation that the drug can be sold into the market, and therefore we can buy it. So going backwards, starting with phase 1, of course this is starting to be tested on human being, and the criteria for which they start testing it is that the medication needs to be tested on people that have some characteristics to what the drug is going to be targeting. The population percentage increases going forward from phase 1 to 3 to 4, and of course more sites, and when I'm speaking about sites I mean more clinical site, yes, get more involved, and therefore also more controls for patient, because the priority of the clinical trial is of course the patient that needs to be at first. So what happened is that who is involved, first of all, because I know that maybe a lot of people might ask, okay, well, the drug is done by the scientists into the lab, so what are all the other figures, like who plays in the whole thing? So of course there are like scientists, and scientists are not just in the first, but they go through the whole thing. There are of course physicians, doctors that are in the clinic and administer the drug and see the results, adverse event or any medical history that they had, or they literally just follow the patient through the whole journey. The clinical trial, I forgot to say before, it takes can take up to 2 years or even more. Some studies, even after the studies has been ended, they do an extension and therefore just trying to review some patients and just observe them how they are going. They just not leave them like that. The study is finished. We have marketed the drug, and therefore we are not following up with you. They don't actually do like that because they try to keep up with the patients. There are also regulation like regulatory people and compliance people that usually keep track of the whole documentation from legal to data and clinical data entry on the website, because of course you need to report all the information from the different clinic across the world, or if it's depends if the study is actually global or just a local study. But usually there are in each site people that report the information to the pharmaceutical company that needs to be informed about how is the patient going, how he's doing. So there are different figures, of course. There isn't just the doctor or the nurse or the scientist. I believe might be some engineers as well, or different figures as well there. But yeah, mainly there are people who have studied science in their degrees, or anyways they know a little bit about clinical trials and what it is usually. It just because it helps through the process, because you know what the responsibility it is for each small action that you're taking, because when you go a little bit in depth of everyday tasks, you are responsible for all patient that you have there, and you are administering this drug, and therefore you need to be responsible in knowing what you are doing somehow. Yeah, of course. um, and So this is a little bit just like only what is clinical research and clinical trials. Of course, after COVID and the whole pandemic, pharmaceutical companies are being a little bit more exposed to the world. They were already before, but I think that after the pandemic, everyone knows who is Moderna, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, which are some of the big pharmaceutical companies, and some of them are the ones that produce our medications. And of course there are like many others, but some of them they just started during COVID. That's why I'm saying perhaps that a lot of them they are being exposed after COVID, because they started their own businesses and starting their new medications, as long as they are of course conformant with the whole regulation for the local area that they are. And So this is basically what clinical trial are. Now, if I would like to give like some advice or tips for students that would like to join, is that if you're a student, please make sure to have some experience. And I know the first thing say is like the first thing that I came across as well was you can start because you don't have experience. But I was like, I need the experience to start, like I need to start to have the experience. So to avoid to find yourself in the same situation, I would say I had anyways some experience, small experience during my degree anyways. So but it would be really helpful if you just dedicate some of your time to volunteering experience into if you're in the UK, for example, as I did my studies there. You can search on like the NHS website, and I know that it's a little bit challenging there just going through the whole application system. Or you can go through the Cancer Research UK as well. I remember that they posted a lot of experiences, but also event or volunteering stuff. So as long as you are being exposed to the world of science and clinical research while you are doing your studies, that somehow is going to give you some exposure. I know that maybe you're going to start just with, like, for example, volunteering. You can do a clinical research associate. Sorry, apologies, you can do that. I don't think I've seen anyone that started just from that, but I will give some example of precise names of jobs titles that you can look for that might be helpful. So you can do research assistant, for example, and or a clinical trial coordinator, clinical trial assistant, data coordinator, data compliance, clinical compliance. These are some of the job titles that you can look for if you want any exposure or experience through your university. There is also the clinical research associate, which is one, I believe, of the job position that everyone is more leaning towards and would like to achieve, of course, because of course you have a little bit more of responsibilities when you start that path, and it's quite a little bit more structured. So there's like clinical research 1, associate 1, phase 1 of the clinical trial. It basically goes on research 1 based on your experience as well, CRA 1, CRA 2, and CRA 3, based on the 4 phases that there are in the clinical trial, and based on how experience you have as well. But as first, I would say, yes, start with those other job titles like clinical trial assistant, clinical trial associate, data coordinator, data compliance. After, there is also regulatory, that are more responsible for the whole regulation and the whole legal aspect, and there you can also plan with some doctors about how the project can be done, for example. But that usually it's either really at the beginning of, it's not only at the beginning, but they are more involved into that phase of planning and making it like legally regular, and they go through the whole journey, of course, keeping an eye on that everything is being followed for the whole different sites and hubs that are around the globe or local. I would say I just kept some notes because I remember that I would have wanted to share this. For job opportunities that are more related to clinical research associate, the CRA, there are some programs that I came across when I was just browsing, searching as well, and I met some people that have completed these courses, which would have been really helpful to know beforehand. But anyways, it's never too late. So there are some programs that I can link below, and you can find the link to learn about them a little bit more. But it's like with the Parexel and the Icon, these two CRO. CRO stands for Clinical Research Organization, and usually they are the middleman between the pharmaceutical company, like I said before, which can be Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, or GSK, or Madrigal. There are like a lot. And the sites are usually the different clinics where the patient comes for the drug administration. CRO in the middle speak with both sides, so they mainly have these programs where they take people, like they recruit who are interested to become a CRA, and there is this program called Apex for Parexel, and they go through, it's a 6 months training, and after you go again, like you continue then if you're successful, and everything. I'm gonna leave the link below. If you are interested, you can look at it. If you have any question, you can again ask me. I'll try to clarify any information or anything more. If you have yeah, there is also another one, which is like the World Health Organization, which I know that it's a little bit challenging to enter into this, like the program, but I believe they're like easier for students rather than after graduation, because they promote a lot of programs with while you are university students. This is something that I've realized as well. While you are a student, you receive a lot of opportunities that are for undergrad students or master students rather than after graduation. And I'll definitely say take advantage of those opportunities as well. Keep an eye on the different sites. I will also say, for if you can, to ask also to your lecturers, like your teachers at universities, that they know a little bit more about what of course they are teaching, the person that teaches you clinical trial, if you have such module. I remember that I had a whole module on clinical research, clinical trial and design, and those will be the right people to ask for exposure as well, if they can advise you on where you can go to find some experience about that. They will be a little bit more connected with some people or some studies that they might be running as well, because it's a university. A lot of universities run clinical trials as well. I remember that I had my university in Nottingham running during COVID some of the vaccines as well, and that was really interesting. So I would definitely say ask the first people that you have, which are the university students. If you're studying a bachelor in science, ask them. They will know how to who direct you, or they're gonna put you in contact with someone, and from there you can go ahead. And after, yeah, go through other online system, or also through different companies. And of course, keep always in mind that it is important that you get your network straight. Like LinkedIn, I think I already mentioned it in one of my previous videos, but really make sure that you are networking in your university, and that you are being active student and interacting with different events or activities that they're running, because usually that would help you very much also to be added into your CV as well. I believe that's a little bit summarize everything. I know that I might have missed something, or that maybe I believe I have said the majority of it, but in case there is any misunderstanding, or if you need any clarification, I'm more than happy to answer to all your questions. I'm gonna link below all the video, like the whole links that I have available, and that might be helpful for you. I have also some CVs, but if you are interested into CV and how to structure it, I can make a video on how the structure can be in talking about UK, and cover letters and stuff like that, if that might be helpful. And that's everything. Reminder, in case you can subscribe if you're interested, and leave a comment. Thank you very much.